Good morning, everyone. Today is the 14th of March. We hope that you're having a wonderful month so far. Today, we're going to be talking about on the road again and what happens when it's you have people living in other states and working remotely, what you need to do with PayrollCentric in order for us to be able to process your payroll and to make sure that all your taxes are appropriately paid. Charles is an expert in this field as well. So Charles, take it away. Thanks so much for being here today, everyone.
Thank you, Sandra. And yes, thank everybody for being here. So yes, what happens when you have to either add an employee in another state or an employee has moved and you need to change their state? First thing you would need to do is go ahead and contact the state. Now, usually what happens is we get contacted first asking what's the situation. So this is why we're doing the webinar, to lead you through that. So what happens is when you reach us, we will send to you a response, and it will basically state the following. They'll state that the state tax codes will be added to your tax setup. It'll ask you to register with that state if you have not yet. And we do provide the links in our response to you to complete the process. These will include the state withholding tax, the state unemployment tax. It may also include other links for maybe anything regarding locals or some sort of tax that is specific to that state that's got its own website for it, like maybe family leave or something like that. And we will also forward to you any required power of attorneys. That's not going to be at the beginning. That's going to be as the process goes forward and we're getting access through our tax system. Now, our tax team may ask you to assign us as a third-party administrator to the website for the states. Lots of states are going online and asking for all this stuff so that it's all registered online. Some states that are not as populated will still be using, say, fax and mail for these kind of things. But we will provide you with the information that we have to go forward. And then from there, once we receive your tax ID numbers, this is what the states will provide you, right? They will let you know that you've been registered, here's your tax ID, and so forth. I think Texas will not assign a tax ID until after you've processed a payroll with them. That's fine, we understand that. All the states can be different. But once you receive them, please forward them to us as soon as possible. The reason is we are going to need those tax IDs in order to file your tax returns. A lot of these states now require electronic submission. If you're not able to do that because we don't have the tax ID, they may charge a fee for a hard copy, paper submission. So we will notify you of any additional information or authorization as required. There is an additional $10 charge per pay period for additional state tax codes added to your company. I think this is if there is more than a certain number. I think we do allow for a certain number of states where they're just included with the payroll processing, but past that point then we will charge this fee. I'm just mentioning it to you right now to advise you. So on an individual basis, we can go over if this is going to be applied to you or not. I'm afraid I don't have that number off the top of my head. What we do have is a $30 fee will be added to your invoice per pay period for any missing state tax account number. This fee is automatically added to your invoice if we do not receive the account number within 30 days from the requested date. As I said, Texas will require you to have a tax ID. We'll send you the tax ID after you've done a payroll with them. So that's taken into account, that kind of thing. But you should be receiving these tax IDs for most of the states within a month's time. And you need to forward those to us because, again, we are not able to file your taxes properly without that ID. And that ID is needed to identify you, to identify your taxes so they know where to apply them, right? It's just like trying to file your 1040 without your social security number. It doesn't work. There'd be issues. So that is the information that we have here. And I've also brought up a couple of things for you. Let's see here. We have these sites these are the different websites we have for the states surrounding California. So this is the California site. This is where you would go in to register as a business. They have a whole suite of services. It's called e-services for business, and it provides just everything, right? One ID number for both state unemployment and state tax withholding, everything. So it's really efficient in that regard. Now we also have for Arizona withholding tax, right? You get a separate number for the Arizona withholding, and then you get a separate one for Arizona unemployment, right? And then there's Nevada. Nevada does not have a state income tax, so you only have to register for unemployment, right? Oregon, they do have an income tax, so you have to register for that at the Oregon Department of Revenue, and then register for the Oregon Department of Labor and Industries for unemployment. They do call them different names, right? For instance, ours is the Employment Development Department that handles everything, but you'll see that they have different names. That's okay. That's how they operate differently. And then for Washington, we have the Washington State Employment Security Department for unemployment taxes, because again, they are a state that does not have an income tax. So pretty nice for the states of Nevada and Washington. So once you get registered, how do we go about setting up an employee in our system? Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring that up right here. So we're here. Now, how do we add an employee who is in another state? Well, if we went to add employee, and we're just going to do the new hire wizard, the onboarding is different. We've done a presentation specifically on onboarding. This is for the employee task portion. The onboarding when you do the onboarding, you automatically select which state before sending the applicant, the information. So that's going to be a different setup. But for the new hire wizard, which is what we're on, you would select your employee, you would select the W-2, you'd hit add, and then you would also select their state, right? So let's say Arkansas. And then you would go, when you get to the state in here, the pay settings and the taxes. This is where you would select the state here as well, Arkansas. And it automatically, when you select the state tax here, it automatically updates the unemployment state and the work state. Now, there are instances when you have something like I selected Arkansas. There is a West Memphis, Arkansas, and a Memphis, Tennessee, right next to each other. There is a Arkansas Siloam Springs, and then a West Siloam Springs in Oklahoma. Let's say you live in West Siloam Springs, but you work in Siloam Springs. You may have that situation, in which case your work state is going to be different than your regular state. And I don't have that in here, but let's say we are Tennessee, because that is on the eastern side. So that is your work state. You live in Arkansas, you work in Tennessee. We do have situations like that. When you get a situation like that, just talk to us and we'll go ahead, or also you will need to talk to the agencies involved, the unemployment agency in Arkansas and the unemployment agency in Tennessee, and also the income tax in Tennessee, because there are situations where you'll be living in one state, but the other state that you work in will assess income tax for the time, for the hours or the salary that you earn in that state. That gets tricky when you have cross states like that. Do we get that situation? We can in Arizona, we can in Nevada for unemployment, and we can in Oregon for either as well. That can happen because if you work just straight across the border, I assume this can happen, like say Lake Tahoe, but I'm using Arkansas as an example. So that is something that you do want to check with the agencies to see what applies. They may apply both, or it may be just one or the other, depending on what the agencies themselves say. This is better to get from the agencies because then it's from the mouth of babes, if you will. And then this is how you would do it in the system, is you would set it up and you would do the taxes accordingly. Now, if you have an existing employee, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this. You have an existing employee, let's say Johnny Appleseed is moving from California to Nevada. So I just go to their payroll data and I go to their taxes, and I just click on Add Change State over here. So this is an interesting one. We have them living in Los Angeles, but working in Oregon. So that's quite a commute. So I click on Add Change State, and then I select the state that they're going to be in. Let's say Nevada, and changing the work state as well. And I hit Next, and then it will automatically expire the California and Oregon taxes we have in here and add in the Nevada taxes. All I'd have to do is hit save and it would complete the task. So that's real easy to change a state for an existing employee.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you found the information useful, and we are very, very pleased and thankful that you are part of our PayrollCentric family. Goodbye for now.